And we are live. Hopefully, some people join us throughout the course of the evening. If not, you'll have an opportunity to look at this as a recording. So, welcome back to the channel. Got a RJ with me tonight, and a year ago we talked about the set that we're about to go through tonight. I wanted to do something a little bit different this time around, as opposed to just showing off the cards by myself. I thought I'd just kind of do it as like a live stream and like have people like ask questions, kind of go through each individual card. There's only 48 cards in the set, so I think it's doable to do within an hour. But we have a guest tonight, so I'm going to introduce, so let RJ actually introduce our guest this evening. This is Mike from No Cards. So
thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. I love this set, so I would love to join this conversation.
Oh, fantastic. So how long have you known each other?
Probably a year.
Yeah, about a year. Yeah.
We met through cards.
Yeah, so when I started collecting again back in 2014. I was in college. I was living out in the Boston area, and I wandered into Kenmore Collectibles, which isn't there anymore. I don't know. I mean, I picked up a 68 Seaver Milton Bradley, ungraded for $20, and I held on to that card. I actually used it to make a display for my dad with a Seaver ball, and kind of fell by the wayside. I started collecting again pretty heavily about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I was making videos about collecting and baseball and all that stuff on TikTok, and that's how RJ and I met.
So you like have a channel on through like TikTok? Is that where you're kind of like
makes
pretty
Yeah.
So I don't use TikTok anymore. I moved everything over to Instagram. Instagram was just, I would say, more laid back. I didn't have to make 3 videos a day just to, continue to build a following. But I still make the same videos. And, what I like about Instagram is I'm able to take pictures of, the things I collect and, put a little blurb about it while also still making, the same types of videos. Like today I posted, I'm getting back a SGC 9 68 Hank Aaron All-Star that I pulled out of a cello pack on my birthday. So it's just cool to share that stuff.
Oh, wow. So you've been at it for a while then.
Yeah, a little while. Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the things you like to collect, Mike?
Oh man. So I can tell everyone I did the full Spawn and Sandy Koufax standard run. So now I'm trying to do the master runs for both guys. I have a zillion things to go. There's a lot of weird stuff out there. I collect Dodgers 66. I'm trying to do one of every Hall of Famer. I collect funny names, guys that I don't know, like attached to memories. Like, for example, I'm doing a Rico Petrocelli run because when I first was living in Boston, my mailman introduced himself. He said, "My name's Mark Petrocelli, but everyone calls me Rico." So, I collect Rico Petrocelli, just whatever feels good.
Yeah, it sounds like you fit it right in with us since we kind of tend to be more vintage collectors on this end.
He loves Koufax, so if I ever see anything Koufax, I go right to him. Same thing if he finds anything Yogi, he passes it on.
Vice versa. Yeah, I know this is not about 60 tops, but I did pick up this not too long ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'll be doing one of my upcoming mail days. I got a bunch of stuff. It's the only other vintage card I have in that grouping because I also do modern as well. But all right, so 48 Bowman, you mentioned really liking that set, Mike. Like, what drew you to that one before I kind of share with you the one I put together?
I guess it's pretty unique, relative to all the other sets, right? I guess in, around 57, we see the transition of the cards to like the standard size that they are today, and they're kind of messing around with the different sizes, from 48 to 55. I think that it's, the real photos are nice, and compared to the Leaf set is unique, but the 48 Bowman, it's a short set, good photographs, a lot of, really key Hall of Fame rookies, Spawn, Musial, Yogi. Obviously you have Ralph Kiner in there as well. And Bobby Thompson's in there, shot from around the world. It's just a great set. Just a lot of memorable players, starting out their card careers in that set.
I'll ask you a question towards the end. I was also prepped RJ for this one. I'd like to hear from you when we get to the end of it, after we go through the 48 cards, and even people in the chat. If you could give me your 5 players that you feel you'd want in the set that were excluded from the set, I would love to hear what it is. I think we're going to have like probably some synergy around this. About at least 3 of the 5 players, I think we'll all be in agreement on it. But
sure.
It'd be kind of interesting to see what we want to put for the other 2. That's why I kind
What's
of
up,
said
Orlando?
5 versus 3. Hey, Orlando. How you doing tonight? Oh. Orlando probably knows a lot about this set too. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, without further ado, I actually did this like a homework assignment. I actually put together a PowerPoint presentation on this one. So let me put it together. So you guys all see the wax box right in front of you right there, right?
Yep.
All right. So I will kind of get started. So I'm going to go through each individual card. I got some notes on players, but feel free to interject, and I'll be going back and forth between screens so I can forward this, but also I can see you guys as well. So our first player we had was, we're going numerical order, is Bob Elliott. So as we'll find out, this is like a very front-loaded set with the Hall of Famers that are in here. He is not one of them, but he's also not nobody. So for what I was kind of able to pick up on him, he played like for 4 different teams, including my Sox at the end of his career, but he's mostly known for his time with the Braves and the Pirates. He was an MVP in 47 and a 7-time All-Star. Probably. Do you have that autographed, RJ? Do you have Bob?
No.
He died in like 66, so he might be one of the harder ones to kind of put together.
47 MVP, I do not.
Mm-hmm. I think he won it over like some other guys that had much higher WARs that particular year, but the Braves had like a really good season, and so he kind of like got a lot of votes at that point. There's your Bob Elliott. Yeah.
There's my Bob.
Hey, when I'm on the PowerPoint, let me know if there's any questions that kind of come in the chat because I can't see it so easily.
Okay.
All right. Then we got the Whip, Ewell Blackwell. Also spent a little time with the Yankees as well. But in this one, he's pictured with the Cincinnati Reds. He was 6-time All-Star. Played for, I mentioned the Reds, the Yankees, but also the A's. And he was a 20-game winner, I think, a couple different times in his career. And it picked up the nickname of being the Whip for the way he kind of threw his arm from a side angle, I believe, during his time as a player. But that's the Whip, number 2.
The Whip. Big one next.
Well, I was just going to say about Blackwell. Did you ever see, in a later set, there's in the Burke Ross, they have, I think it's Ewell Blackwell. It's Nellie Fox, but a picture of Ewell Blackwell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have heard about that card. Yep.
Yeah.
I have his 49 Leaf, too. I was able to get it for like $20 or something like that. And it's a beautiful card. It's like a tricolored card on there. So it's like one of the ones that has different colored, dual colored background on there, which is pretty cool.
I actually have I have the Bob Elliott Leaf. I don't I don't know if I still have the Bob Elliott 48, but I definitely have the Leaf.
Here we got the Ralph Kiner rookie card. Now, I knew this one was not going to get a perfect score in any way, shape, or form because it was either, I think it was miscut originally, and then somebody tried to fix it, which then got the evidence of trimming. I think the card was too big. So then they tried to make it more standard size and like cut it on a weird angle, which obviously made it to be authentic. But what I like about my copy in particular is it's got really good registration. It's a very, very clean image of him on there. So like you don't see that for like all the 48 Bowmans. A lot of them do have like a lot of snowing and wear.
Yep. He is already being called another Babe Ruth. His amazing clouding drove out 51 home runs last year to Johnny Mize in 1946 to tie Johnny Mize.
Hey, Mookie, what's going on?
Mookie, what's up, buddy?
Yep, that's right. Kiner was the announcer for the Mets after his playing days. And obviously he's mostly known for, actually, a lot of people have forgotten about this unless you're vintage guys like we are, but 7-time All-Star. He also was in the U.S. Navy, too. That's also something about this set is like how many of these guys actually spent time in World War II. Like you have a nice blend of like people who spent time in the war, also with some players that played domestically during the war, never went to war, which is pretty interesting as well. And then some that made their debuts after the war for the most part, like a Yogi or something like that too. And we get to him, but Ralph Kiner obviously led the league in home runs for 7 consecutive seasons at that point. Only 1 year where he's tied with Johnny Mize. which
He got
oddly enough,
five seasons with 50 or more.
I don't have his stats right in front of me, but that might be true because he definitely hit a lot of home runs. Now, Johnny Mize inclusion, I think, is kind of interesting because a lot of the cards in the set kind of capture the stars of that day and some of the ones that became stars afterwards. There's not too many in there that were like stars previous to World War II. I think like the exceptions for me are this guy and then the next card we'll look at too, who are already really well established stars prior to the war. So it's kind of interesting to have his inclusion in this set here too. He was still a big star at this time, but Mize obviously a 10-time All-Star, is in the Hall of Fame, 5-time World Series champ between playing with the Cardinals and with the Yankees, 4-time home run champ, also spent time in the U.S. Navy as well.
Also, I think he has 2 other unique baseball relatives. So I think his cousin was Claire Ruth, as in Babe Ruth's wife, and he was also a cousin of Ty Cobb.
I believe I heard that someplace before.
Yeah, I read that somewhere. It's
Mhm.
his cousin was Ty Cobb, and his or distant cousin was Ty Cobb, and his other cousin was Claire Ruth, was Babe Ruth's wife.
Wow.
Yeah,
So he was destined for greatness based
Well,
on his family, huh?
big shoes to fill, I guess. So
He did okay though. The Big Cat
He did.
obviously had a
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
big career. I think he's one of the great players from this era that just isn't talked about anymore.
I agree,
Unless somebody
100%.
really like spends the time to like look into his career and realize just how good of a hitter he was, even after his return from the war, before he went over to the Yankees.
Right.
But, a little biased since he spent time with St. Louis, which is my next favorite team outside of the White Sox, which we won't talk about tonight.
Yeah, collectors.
Although they have a way of coming up in every conversation right now because they're so bad. All right, moving on. So I mentioned the other big star that was a star prior to World War II that's included in this set is none other than Bob Feller. I think of the guys that were the big stars during like the late 30s and early 40s, he's right up there with DiMaggio and with obviously Ted Williams. They're not obviously in the set, but they definitely captured Bob Feller. The card next to it is actually the Bowman Heritage autograph that was a packed pulled autograph, not by me, but I picked it up later and got it graded. That was released during 2001. So he and Warren Spahn had autographs in that one, so I picked those up along the way when I was putting this together. But I don't even know what we even say about Bob Feller. It probably hasn't already been said. I mean, he was part of the 48 team in Cleveland that won the World Series. I think he was the pitcher of the 1940s by far. I don't think anybody was even close. 8-time All-Star, spent time in the U.S. Navy. I think he was one of the earliest players to enlist.
Missed 3 years.
During his prime too, right? So he's short of 300 victories, short of 3,000 strikeouts, but he would have definitely exceeded those things with the numbers that he was putting up during that time period. So one of my favorites during this era. So it's actually my favorite card in this set too.
The Feller?
Yep.
I could see that.
There it is.
We got my latest edition, which finished the set, was the Yogi Berra card, which I think of the rookies in the set, it's probably one of the better images, I think. And RJ's showing off with an autographed Yogi Berra card there.
Yeah, of course it is.
See that so easily.
RJ, you're doing the full autograph run.
There's also another one later on that will blow us all away too.
We have 32 of the 48.
Yeah. So I think I told my story before about this card, but my previous copy that I purchased was stolen while in transit to me, so I never received it. So this is actually the second one I purchased. Yeah, that was a very sad day when I found that out. But I mean, Yogi's Yogi, right? I mean, he's such a popular player personality for so long throughout all of our lives at this point. We probably know him more for his time as on TV doing commercials than his time as a player. But played all the way up through about the 65 season, with taking off the 64 season when he just was the manager of the Yankees. Was a player coach then with the Mets after that. 3-time MVP, Hall of Fame, 18-time All-Star, 10-time World Series champ as a player, something that will just never be topped. I think you won't see another player win that many World Series in this era.
We love the card so much. We got the full photograph.
That's sweet.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Autograph.
Look at that again.
Photograph.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Definitely a spring training photo, right? Because he's got the trees.
Yeah, we got
and
a
stuff
full
behind
version
him.
of the trees.
Yeah. That's what you want to do with the full version of the trees. Here we go. Now we're going to go to Ebbets Field with Pete Reiser.
He's a great card. Love it. He's our neighbor
That's a
in New
great
Jersey.
card.
Wow, yes, he is. Great museum he has here in New Jersey.
Yeah, Yogi.
Yogi?
Yeah.
So Pete goes in the, I think he's on the all-time Hall of Fame list of somebody that would have been an all-time great if it wasn't for injuries. If he didn't have a habit of kissing the wall so many times as a player and like dislocating his arms, getting concussions and breaking his arms and everything, he was definitely well on his way to kind of being a superstar of the game. And it was just kind of a little bit tragic with the way like they didn't really take care of him at the time because it was all about getting on the field, right? So he was playing while he was concussed so many different times, and sometimes would get concussed again as a byproduct of being concussed while also out in the field playing. But during his time, he was a batting champion, a 3-time All-Star, and was known to just run through walls literally to be able to do anything to win. And was a player that it was the actual Branch Rickey when he was with the Cardinals before he came over to the Dodgers, was a player that was in the Cardinals organization that he wanted to be able to keep within the Cardinals organization. But then he moved over to Brooklyn and he found some way to be able to finagle him out of the Cardinal organization to come over and join him in Brooklyn there. So, and I think the Cardinals were not so happy about that because they knew they lost a budding star. But I think it was the Cardinals had to release him because I think they had way too many players signed at that time within their minor leagues. So like the commissioner like weighed down on, you have to let some of these players go because you're keeping them from being able to make up the major leagues because you're just loading your roster in the minor leagues. So that's how he got to the Dodgers, and I think should have been the 41 MVP, but his teammate won it that year. So that's Pete Reiser right there. So look him up. He's an interesting guy. What's that?
He batted .343 his first season.
Yeah, and he had like one of those crazy stat lines like Bobby Witt has right now, where he's got triples, doubles, stolen bases, high batting average. Like he kind of did it all.
He's taking that guy's taking it away from Judge this year. It looks like triple crown.
Here we got Phil Rizzuto. John's 3D80s kid just made a video about how he hates this card, and I've heard that a lot too, but they cropped it poorly, right? So I think he was like jumping to try and do a stage thing where he's kind of like trying to make a jumping catch or something like that, but they only cut him from the waist up, which does make it look kind of funny.
It's a goofy picture.
Yeah, it is. But I still enjoy it as part of this entirety of the set.
And I like Rizzuto. I buy Rizzuto because I saw Billy Madison when I was young, and there was the Rizzuto scene.
Yogi likes to know that Yogi got a World Series ring as a coach for the '69 Mets, and obviously led them to the World Series in '73, which was Mace's last season. Phil Rizzuto played till 1955, debuted in '41, was also in the U.S. Navy. MVP, I believe, in '51, if I'm not mistaken. 5-time All-Star and a 7-time World Series champ. So he also had like a ton himself as well at that time. There's the Phil Rizzuto. All right. Here we got
Walker.
Yeah, I don't know. I somehow didn't write his name down, so I don't have his information on me. But Walker Cooper obviously played a lot, I think, not just with the Giants, but he also spent time with the Cardinals as well in their organization. This is my only missed cut card to this extent in this set, but if you look at it closely, the part of the card that's miscut at the top there, which shows a part of another card, it's not just any other card in the set. It's actually the Stay Unusual card. So I kept it because I have like one full mutual and like 1/10 of a mutual because of this card on here. I don't know how I missed taking notes on him. I guess I was too distracted when I was putting it all together.
Walker.
Yep.
He is the most expensive player ever purchased by the Giants.
I think that's probably changed since then, but so it says
Several
on the
All-Star
back.
teams, generally rated the #1 catcher in the National League. 35 home runs last year, finished the 1940 season, 7th season with 305 batting average.
Wow.
Born in 1915.
Oh, we have a little discussion about Judge now during our 48 Bowman presentation.
Judge can still get it. Yes, he can.
Yeah, he can. Yeah. All right, so now we got Buddy Rosar, which I think it's one of the more interesting images in here. At first, when I picked up the card, I thought he was holding his mask. He's not. He just threw it off. So it's a staged photo, but it's one of the cooler staged photos, I think, in the entire set. Because they did catch that image while the mask is like in midair, like he's tossing it off to be able to catch a pop-up or a foul ball, which I think is kind of an interesting picture in the set, considering most of them are just like poses. Play catcher, obviously a 5-time All-Star himself and a 2-time World Series champion. Played between the Yankees, Cleveland, Philadelphia A's, and also the Red Sox during his time.
See, this would have been a great pose for the Yogi card.
It would have been, right?
Right?
Yeah. Any of the catchers probably would be cool with this pose. Got the full gear on and everything, too. All right, next we got Johnny Lindell, 1-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion, spent his time with the Yankees and Cardinals. He was an outfielder and a pitcher as needed, too. They would bring him in to pitch. There's good old Johnny Lindell. Yeah. Here we go. Here's like one of the more, of the cards that are not Hall of Famers, one of the more noted players. Johnny Sane. So, Spahn and Sane, pray for rain. He was part of that phrase. He was the second pitcher in that duo of Warren Spahn. Probably known a little bit more during his time as a pitching coach, post-playing career, because he spent so many years doing that. But as a player himself, he pitched for 13 seasons, 3-time All-Star, 3 World Series. Was in the U.S. Navy, pitched with the Braves, the Yankees, and the A's during his career. Good old Johnny Sane. He actually was the pitching coach for the White Sox here for some time. But when I was a kid, he was the pitching coach over there. So here we have Willard Marshall. Well-known Willard Marshall. Well, he did hit 36 home runs in 1947, so he was no slouch. Spent time in the World War II as well. I couldn't tell what service division he was in because I couldn't find that information on him. 3-time All-Star, and he just kind of bounced around a lot during his career, a 13-year career as well. Giants, Braves, Reds, and White Sox. Some of those 13 years were spent in World War II as well. Here he is pictured with the Giants. And you have his autograph as well. RJ's putting us all to shame with all of his autographs tonight. So
this is taking a lot of hunting. Now this is
we
why
got Allie Reynolds, Super Chief Reynolds, obviously was his nickname. He was actually acquired by the Yankees from Cleveland in exchange for Joe Gordon. Joe Gordon, who was not in this set, but was a big part of their 48 World Series winning team as their second baseman. He was like the double play combination for their player manager, Lou Boudreau, who was actually from this area, but not in this set either. Allie Reynolds, during his time, 6-time All-Star, 6-time World Series champion, won the ERA title in 52, pitched just for Cleveland and the Yankees. Unfortunately, this time with the Yankees, the team bus got into a bus accident. And he hurt his back to the point where he couldn't pitch anymore after that. It was kind of why he had such an abbreviated career, if you will, because he was really starting to come in his own at that time.
And also that's 52 seasons. He had 20 wins in 52, I believe.
I had a nice one and I can't find it.
We're just going to believe that
PSA
you
8.5.
have it, considering some of the stuff you've thrown at us tonight. So
Yeah.
here we got good old Eddie Yost. Let me turn my page with my notes here. Eddie Yost played forever, from 36 all the way to 1955. Was a two-time All-Star. Was part of the Cleveland team that won, or the Cincinnati team that won the World Series in 1940. So he really kind of was across many different eras. Was an infielder, spent most of his time at second base and third base with the Reds, Braves, A's, and Red Sox. And here he is pictured with the Philadelphia A's. Good old Eddie Yost.
Little in-action shot there.
When I was a kid, I was like saying his name, Eddie Yost, and Eddie Stanky, or like names that always kind of came to mind and just rolled off my tongue when people asked me about baseball players. Here we go. There we got Jack Locre. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Paid from 47 to 53, third base, shortstop with the Giants and the Phillies. Also was in the U.S. Army and actually was in the Battle of the Bulge. He's not going to be the only player we're going to talk about that actually was in the Battle of the Bulge tonight, too.
He looks like he's 15.
You have a lot of these autographs. It's fantastic. So,
he looks very
why
young.
did the pinhole card cross the road? Oh boy, we got jokes in the live stream. Why, Max Waxstacks? Why did the pinhole do it? We'll let him build up to his punchline here in a minute, and I'll forward it on to the next card. Here we got Enos Country Slaughter. This one I knew was a little miscut when I purchased it, but you could see it. But again, the image itself was crystal clear on there, which is why I was comfortable paying the price I did for it, which wasn't terribly expensive, but it was, I think, worth every penny. Slaughter, another guy that played a long time, 38 all the way to 1959, with time spent in World War II as well with the U.S. Army. 10-time All-Star, 4-time World Series champ. We'll have everything else on there. Cardinals, Yankees, A's, and Braves were the teams that he played for in his career, and probably mostly noted for his time spent with the Cardinals and with the New York Yankees.
Now, why did yours get an authentic? That looks really good.
Because Mook was the, oh my God, that was the joke.
So easy.
It's got a little bit, it's trimmed at the corner.
Oh,
You see the, for what I can see now, it's the,
the bottom
facing
right.
it right now, it's, yeah, you can see it there. That'll be the last authentic of the graded cards. I got like 16 of them graded. So, all right, moving on to Warren Spahn. As I mentioned before, he also had an autograph in the 2001 Bowman Heritage set. This one I acquired at the National last year. Actually, Mike O actually kind of pointed me in the direction of trying to find this card. When I introduced myself to him, we were talking as he was looking at some other cards, and I was looking at other things as well. Mike, do you want to take that over? I mean, you're a Warren Spahn fan. Do you want to share some facts or interesting things about Warren Spahn?
We got.
So I think he's so Ted Williams flew in World War II in Korea, and I believe Ted Williams won medals for valor in Korea, but he did it in World War II. So I believe I read somewhere that Warren Spahn is the only guy to win a medal for valor in World War II. And be a major league player. And I mean, he was a combat engineer in World War II. He fought at the Battle of the Bulge. I collect Warren Spahn because my grandpa fought at the Battle of the Bulge. He was captured at the Battle of the Bulge. So, that's the question. I wonder if my grandpa knew Warren Spahn. I will say about this card specifically, it's a side profile, which I think is fitting. I read a while back they called them hooks because the way his nose curved. So I think it's interesting that they picked this for his rookie card picture. But yeah, I mean, I think that people who know baseball and love baseball know Warren Spahn, but I think he is in the card market undervalued. I think that I don't know, he's a very recognizable figure in vintage baseball.
I would agree. Of the big rookies I purchased for this one, he's by far was the most affordable. It was kind of a shame because I think he probably was the best pitcher of the 1950s. I mean, 100%. You can maybe make an argument for Robin Roberts in there too, but Yeah, but I think he
Also
definitely
undervalued.
hold a candle with those guys as well.
Yeah.
I will tell you the Warren Spawn rookie auto is more than the Stam Usual. Would you
That's
think that?
No, not at
I
all.
would have. Yeah, I would have thought the
Did he
Mutual was
not
more
sign that
expensive.
card? Did he not like it?
No. Same thing with the Rizzuto. The Rizzuto is more too.
We got like a journeyman with the Yankees, but you can't really talk about the 1940 Yankees without at some point talking about Tommy Heinrich. 37 to 1950, five-time All-Star, part of 6 World Series teams, known as the clutch or old reliable. He also served in World War II with the Coast Guard at that point, but there he is, Tommy. That's one I'd like to maybe submit for grading at some point because I kind of wanted to grade it Tommy at some point. Although I'd like to get his maybe one of his play ball cards. So.
Mike, he played in Newark in 1937.
Did he?
That's a town right next to us.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Were the New York Bears there at the time? No, right?
I forget what their name was. I know it was. I forget.
It's probably the same grounds though.
That's
Yeah,
cool, Stu.
same area probably. Yeah.
Here we go. Got another one.
He's
We
quite
got
a piano
Buddy
player
Kerr.
also.
We got 2 buddies in the set. We did a buddy earlier. Now we got Buddy Kerr. Played for 8 seasons as a shortstop with the Giants and the Dodgers, and a one-time All-Star in 1948. And that is all I got on Buddy. You got his autograph, RJ?
I'm looking for him. I think he might be one of the tough ones. No, I don't have one.
Yeah, I don't know when he passed away. I didn't get his.
There's 2 in this
date.
set that are very difficult.
Here we got Ferris Fane, 2-time batting champion. Played a pretty short career, 47 to 55. He kind of burned out pretty quickly. Was in the U.S. Army before he debuted in Major League Baseball. 5-time All-Star, played with the A's, the White Sox, the Tigers, and also with the Cleveland Indians towards the end of his career. That one I might want to go grade too because it looks so sharp at that point. So here we go. From Ferris Fame, we got Floyd Bill Bevins, the well-known Bill Bevins, part of the 1947 World Series, or 42 World Series, I should say. He was, no, 1947. I stand corrected. He actually was not an active player at the time this set was produced. He pitched only for 3 seasons. Which was kind of interesting. He's the only player that has a player card in the set where he's actually not active.
Did you read the back of that one? That's pretty cool.
Not in a little
will
while.
Always be remembered as the pitcher who in 1947 almost made the Hall of Fame by pitching a no-hit World Series game up until the last half of the 9th inning.
And then he was like out of baseball the next season.
Yeah, he would have had a no-hitter.
That would have been a hell of a way to go out.
Yeah, right? He said his arm went dead.
And it went dead for good, apparently. Probably something they could fix now. Here we got Larry Jansen with the Giants and Reds during his career. Won 23 games, actually, in 1951 and 1947. Was a 2-time All-Star and was part of that Giants staff during the late parts of the 40s and 50s. He didn't like have a long career. Must have like also like worn his arm down because these guys, if they were any good, just pitched all the time. 2 native Nebraskans in the 48 set. No, they're not named Drew or Steve. All right, now we got Dutch Leonard. I think I did Dutch Leonard when we talked about this set last year, if I remember correctly. Let me pull up his card here. One of the few Phillies in the set, actually. So that's actually Shibe Park in the background there. What I can tell you about Dutch Leonard is actually he spent a lot of time like working with teenagers that got involved with the juvenile justice system at the end of his career, as trying to like be a mentor for them, teach them the game of baseball, and trying to get their life back on track, which is pretty cool. I kind of like admire his time spent in his post-playing days, trying to be able to work with the young people at that point. But as a pitcher, he pitched for a while too. He was active from 1933 all the way to 1953 and was a 5-time All-Star for the Dodgers, the Senators, the Phillies, and later for the Cubs. And there's Dutch Leonard.
This is our most recent pickup.
Wow, you're really getting close on this set. That's sweet.
Yeah, we need 16 more.
Oh, looks like they just clicked on a player, somebody having a side conversation in the chat, which go ahead, guys, continue. All right, now we got Barney McCoskey. Good old Barney. What I was able to get from him is he was active for 1939 to 1953, was in the U.S. Navy, played for the Tigers, the A's, and the Reds. And I didn't have much more on him other than what's on the back of his baseball card here. Didn't know too much about him. But it's got kind of a cool image on there of him finishing his swing.
Yeah.
Here we got Frank Shea. I kind of like this card too. It's kind of with the follow through on there, kind of looking at the camera. Active pitcher from 47 to 55. I pitched for the Yankees and the Senators. His best season actually was coming off of 47 when he went 14-5 in 1947. Other than that, he was just kind of a bullpen pitcher trying to break into the starting rotation wherever he went and didn't really stick anywhere for any extended period of time.
So 47 was his actual first year. So this is really a rookie card.
Yeah. Here we got next one. Sid. I got Sid Gordon on here, which his is a little interesting. Sid, two-time All-Star, 41 to 55, played left field and third base, was also in the Coast Guard, played for the Giants, the Braves, and also with Pittsburgh at that point. I just kind of like the rolled up sleeves in this card.
Yeah,
kind of like kind of alluding to like a future Ted Kaczewski, where he just kind of ripped the sleeves off of later on his uniform on there. But
I will say I also have a Sid Gordon run because it's short, so I did the whole run.
You did a whole Sid Gordon run?
Yep.
Wow.
He fits into the Koufax Greenberg variety.
Wow.
Here we got Emil Verbin, second baseman, 44 to 1950, three-time All-Star. He was part of the 1944 World Series winning St. Louis Cardinals. Spent time with the Phillies. I think he's one of the three Phillies in the set. Also was with the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Browns. Got some love for the Nebraska players tonight. So.
Yeah, football starting this weekend.
Here we got Joe Page. Joe Page probably is, it's less about, I think, Joe Page is a player, but more how Joe Page was used, really kind of ushered in like the era of like the stopper, the reliever, because that's kind of the role he played with the Yankee teams. Was kind of short-lived. He only pitched for 11 seasons, was three-time All-Star, three-time World Series champ, but he was often the guy they brought in relief during like the big World Series games when their pitchers are starting to wear down during this era. They'd bring in Joe Page to be able to kind of stop the other team at that point. Kind of like ushering in the whole era of the reliever being like an important position. We got Whitey Lockman. Good old Whitey. 45 to 1960. Made the All-Star team once, was part of the 1954 World Series champion Giants, played for the Giants, the Cardinals, the Orioles, and also the Reds. Was in World War II, and he also spent a lot of time coaching after his career. I think he also was a longtime coach here in Chicago. Might have been part of the College of Coaches too, when they had like four different people like managing the team in the 60s for the Cubs for one season. I could be wrong about that, though.
He played in Jersey City.
There's Whitey.
I think this is the tough guy.
Let's hear Bill McCann. Does that sound right? He only pitched with the A's from 46 to 49. Not too much about him, other than what's kind of listed on the back of his card there. In the back of his card, mentioned that he won 11 games and lost 7 the year previously to the issuing of this set. All right, next one. Good old Bill Rigney. Bill Rigney was a one-time All-Star. Played from 46 to 53, was a third baseman and shortstop. But he managed a long time. He managed from like 1956 all the way to 1976. Managed the Giants, the Angels, and the Twins. So that one's out there for his Stuke if you remember him. And there's there we go, Bill Rigney.
Billy boy.
Kind of also reminds me, you don't see too many players wearing glasses anymore in Major League Baseball. They just get the contacts or get their eyes corrected. But that was not an uncommon
the next
image.
one's one of my favorites.
You want to take that one over? Want to take Billy the Bull Johnson?
Billy Johnson. What do you got on Billy?
Active from 43 to 56, was in the U.S. Army as well, part of 4 World Series teams, played third base for the Yankees and the Cardinals, was 4-time World Series champion, a 1-time All-Star during his career.
2 years in the war.
On.
Born in Montclair, New Jersey.
A lot of New Jersey guys in this set.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
I guess I never realized that.
Here we got Sheldon Jones. Good old Sheldon Jones. Pitched with the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Cubs from 46 to 1953. Not a super long career, but he kind of bounced around a little bit, and that's what I got on good old Sheldon.
This is one of the tough autographs. I think he died young.
I didn't look up the days they died, and I think we probably should have, but that's probably why. Yeah. Are there cards out there with his autograph? Do you know?
I only know of 2 people that have completed this set.
Fully really?
Autographed. Yeah.
Wow, that is going to be a lifelong project, but kind of a really valuable one.
Yeah.
And pass that down to Jake then.
It's a marathon. Yeah.
Snuffy
A life marathon.
We got George Sternenweiss.
Snuffy.
Snuffy, yep.
I love this card. It's one of my favorites.
It's kind of a fun one, isn't it? Yeah. Active from 43 to 52.
Yeah. Snuffy's a good nickname, too.
2-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champion. Was the batting champ in 1945. Played with the Yankees, the Browns, and at the end of his career with the Cleveland Indians for like part of one season before he kind of retired at that point.
Born in New York, New York. He was an All-American halfback at the University of North Carolina.
Wow.
So that's not somebody you wanted to see if you were catching and the ball's coming.
No.
And he's coming in from third, right?
No.
There we go. It's not the most beautiful copy of this card, but hey, it's my stay than usual, so I'm happy with this. And RJ, you got the more beautiful of the 2 because you got
we have 2 of them. We have 2 of them at PSA right now.
You have 2 of them, 2 autographed copies, standard rookie cards.
Wait, can I have one?
Is the other one for sale or what?
That. Whichever one comes back nicer, I'm keeping.
Oh, wow. Well, good luck. You have to share those with us when you get them back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Stan, obviously known as the man, played for parts from 41 all the way to 63, missed 1 year for the war in 45, 3-time MVP, 24-time All-Star, 3-time World Series winner, 7 batting titles. Just one of the all-time greats and probably the biggest card in this set. No offense to Yogi Berra, but I would kind of say
he started out as a pitcher. We just got his comic book, and
yeah, you did. Yeah, he did. He damaged his arm. Yeah,
he dove for a ball and blew out his shoulder. He was something like 13-5 his first season.
Wow.
He did okay as a position player. Yeah, he did all right for that transition. And we got Clint Hartung. So Clint played from 47 to 52. Sometime pitched, but mostly played right field with the Giants and the Giants only. And that's all I got about this guy. Got his autograph over there too?
Yeah, Clint. He was born in Hondo, Texas. So he is not a Nebraska guy. Let's see. It looks like he hit 30 home runs. He pitched in 25 games. That can't be right. He batted .561 and hit 30 home runs. Is that possible? That's got to be.
Is that what it says? Or like during his time, like in the minor leagues or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. He was in the service for 4 years. Wow.
Yeah, in the Northern League. Yeah, in the Northern League in Texas. Wow. That's crazy. That's like Babe Ruth kind of craziness.
Yeah, right.
A little quote from Ty Cobb, courtesy of Stuke, about staying the man. Here we got Red Shandies. I actually saw quite a few of this autograph too when I was actually in the, trying to acquire this card. But he lived a long time, so had a lot to do with it. Second base left fielder with the Cardinals from 45 to 63, 10-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, Hall of Famer. Played with the Cardinals, Braves, also managed for many years for the St. Louis Cardinals as well, including for part of his last season in 1990. I think he was like the last active inning thing out of the set because he was still coached with the team and spring training, like up until like the year or two before his death. Like all-time Cardinal on there. So can't say enough about the redhead.
Yeah, I would say Red and Enos I see the most autographs of in the 48 Bowman.
What about Augie? You get a lot of autographs from Augie Galan.
You have an Augie.
Who played first base and third base for the Cubs, Dodgers, and Reds, was a 3-time All-Star, played from 34 to 1949. There's actually quite a few Cincinnati Reds in this set, which as I was putting it together, I was kind of surprised how many Cincinnati Reds they had in the set, where it's like some teams were completely excluded. So like, I don't understand the logic why some teams like had a lot of cards as opposed to like other teams that had maybe one, like Cleveland only had Bob Feller and some had none.
It's mostly Giants, Yankees, and Dodgers, right?
Mostly just those two teams. And then probably Cincinnati, I think, is next one, or Philadelphia A's.
Yeah.
We got Marty Marion, your 1944 MVP. Probably was regarded, I think, as the best shortstop of the 1940s, at least in the National League for sure. 8-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champ, played for the Cardinals, transitioned into managing them, and then moved over to St. Louis Browns not across town because they played in the same stadium. Managed them for a little while, managed the White Sox briefly, and then he retired from managing. I guess the White Sox have a way of doing that to people. They don't want to like do anything with baseball after they're done managing the White Sox.
Even back then.
Even back then, yeah.
Yeah, it was him and Stan the Man in the infield there.
Here we got good old Rex Barney. Rex Barney was a pitcher for the Dodgers, World War II Army veteran as well. Pitched from 1943 to 1950. Good old Rex Barney right there. I think I saw a mention of Rex Barney earlier, so I'm going to highlight that one again. From Omaha, Nebraska.
That's a great card too.
You can't have that many cards. He didn't pitch very long into the 40s. He's probably just in like some of those late 40 sets, I imagine. All right, getting near the end here. We got Ray Poet. I believe it's how you pronounce his name.
Ray Pope.
Poet. That's probably what it is, actually. 42 to 1949 pitcher. He was actually the first pitcher to hit for the cycle. That's kind of his claim for fame. Played with Cleveland, the Giants, and later with Pittsburgh. And that is what I got for him.
Yep.
And here we got our last Dodger, if I'm not mistaken, coming up here. Bruce Edwards, left fielder, third baseman, 51 All-Star. Played for the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Senators, and also the Reds, and was active between 1946 to 1956. You have him autographed there, or is that one you still need?
No. I don't have him.
All right, moving on.
Catcher.
Got another red here. Johnny, this is going to be one I hope I don't mispronounce too terribly. Warstek? Yeah, that's probably what it is. So anyway, Johnny was active from 42 to 54, an outfielder, two-time All-Star for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Cincinnati Reds, and the Philadelphia Phillies, and he was in the Army and during World War II as well.
Yeah, so he didn't die young. So he died in 86. So there might be some out there.
Keep looking. Keep looking.
Yeah, I'm going to keep looking.
Here we got another MVP in there. Hank Sauer, the 1952 MVP when he played for the Chicago Cubs. Here's a guy who also had his career kind of really derailed by World War II because he was starting to break in with the Cincinnati Reds at that point, who were a really good team. But then the war started and he went off to war for several years, came back, and then he had to go into the minor leagues again in 1946 and was finally able to debut, I believe, officially again by like 1947. And he was already kind of getting to be an older man at that point. But they have him listed as active from 41 to 59, but really it was like 41 and really like 47 to 59. Two-time All-Star, 52 MVP, as I mentioned, played for the Reds, the Cubs, the Cardinals, and the Giants.
He just looks like he's an old man here.
He kind of always did, yeah.
Got that face.
Jason's here. Jason, you already missed
Hello,
Stan
Jason.
Usual, Red Shane Deese, and Eden Slaughter. So
Actuality.
hopefully you want to stick around for the final players we got going on here. Maybe we'll get to the White Sox in the set, Jason, for you.
Yeah, I think this guy, I'm going to look this guy up. I feel like this guy passed early.
Herman Wiemeyer, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Herman, or Herm, I think is what he went by, played for the Reds, the Phillies, the Cardinals, and the Tigers from 45 all the way to 58 as a pitcher.
Died in 73. Probably a few out there.
All right, we're down to the final two. This is the last big player. And this is Bobby Thompson rookie card. And what more can you say about the shot heard around the world, which he did a few years after this card was produced? Active from 46 to 1960, three-time All-Star. Bounced around quite a bit, but mostly known for his time probably with the Giants. And then later played for the Braves, the Cubs, the Red Sox, and briefly for the Baltimore Orioles as well.
Also, I will say about Bobby Thompson, he lived in New Jersey. He lived in Warren, New Jersey, and I know some people that also are from Warren. And if you saw Bobby Thompson in the grocery store and you went to go talk to him, he would stand there and talk to you for an hour as if he'd known you forever. He's apparently the nicest guy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of the greatest.
Excuse yourself. You're like, I thought this would be 15 minutes.
One of the greatest books I've read is Miracle Ball.
Is it about him?
About the ball from the shot heard around the world and who got it. And the reporters went to his house, and it's a good read.
Had to pitch to Thompson because Willie Mays was on deck. Might have been very well true. Yeah. That was the joy of having a player like Willie Mays in your lineup during that era for sure. And here's the final one for the set. George Dave Culso. 41 to 55 was his active years. Also spent time in World War II. Was part of the 13th Airborne. So he was jumping out of planes during World War II. Won the ERA title in 1949. Pitched for the Giants, the Baltimore Orioles, and then the Milwaukee Braves towards the end of his career. And that is the 1948 Bowman set on there.
Nice.
I might try to see if I can add this. I don't know if you can do an attachment, but if I could add the slide deck to this video so people, if they wanted to go look at it, they can later on. But yeah, so getting back to an earlier question, and this is also for people in the chat. So this set is notorious for like having complete teams omitted, stars omitted from teams that were included. If you had to say, if you wanted to add 5 more cards to the set, what 5 players would you want to add to this set? Mike, do you need a minute, or can you think about the 5 players you would name on there? And feel free to participate in the chat too.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, during the live, I've kind of bounced back and forth between the Leaf checklist and, and the Bowman checklist. And obviously, one is substantially longer than the other. Um, I mean, obviously, you have guys like Ted Williams, Satchel Paige is in there. I mean, it would have been neat. They threw his extra players in there, like, having a Wagner in there, that would have been neat as well. But what I really tried to do, and I don't really come up with anything, is think about guys that maybe were a little odd, right? Like both of these sets, the Leaf set and the Bowman set, are the rookie cards for a lot of guys, and it kind of we talked a lot about the war and people that went off and fought the war, and all I could think about the whole time was who was the youngest player to ever play. It was Joe Nuxhall, right? Joe Nuxhall, came up in 44, 15 years old. I don't think he played in 48. He was 21 years old. He officially got over 52. But, if you're adding players, it would have been a cool card to see in that set, too.
RJ, what are your 5?
My top one, I mean, if Yogi Berra is in there, I would have said Bill Dickey. I don't know why he wasn't in there. DiMaggio brothers.
He was a coach at that point, right? Or he wasn't active anymore at that point, was he?
Was he a coach?
I think he was a coach by 47, 48.
I don't think Bill Dickey was playing, but to that point, they had a number of those guys. That's what I was kind of talking about, like how Babe Ruth shows up. In the Leaf set, how Wagner shows up. Those guys. So that makes sense to me.
Bob Lemon, was Greenberg still playing?
He was not.
No,
but I want to make an exception that you can include him because what was that one player said that actually was done by 47? It was included in the set. If they could have that in there, Hank Greenberg's final season was in 47, so he could have him as a Pittsburgh Pirate in this set if you wanted. Stuke's got a list here.
What do you got, Stuke?
Stuke did his homework. He put Jackie, Larry, Satch, Richie, Joe, Williams. That would be his 6-pack that he'd want to get on there. So the players I would want to do, granted, you wouldn't know this probably at the time, but, this is the last time Cleveland won the World Series. And the only player they have featured in here, Bob Feller, had a good season, not great season. There was other players that had really good seasons with Cleveland. So in addition to having Jackie, who was already an active player on there, I think you needed to have Larry Doby included in this. Ted Williams for sure. Joe DiMaggio, absolutely. But I would love to then find a way to get Lou Boudreau in there, get Joe Gordon in there, get Bob Lemon in there, just the guys that really featured for the team that actually won the World Series in 1948.
Yeah.
But I can find some way to get those guys in there if they could. But,
yeah, Lou Boudreau would be a great one. I completely missed that. That's a good call.
And like personally, I'd love to see like Luke Appling kind of get in there, but they didn't put any White Sox in there. They didn't put any Cubs in there. There's a couple teams that had nobody. The Browns weren't in there at all. Trying to think, the Tigers had nobody. They didn't have a listed team in there. So, yeah.
How about Early Win?
Early Win was with Washington at that time. That would have been a good one too. Yeah.
I mean, in 47, he went 17-15.
So early has 300 wins exactly, correct?
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, it's like just over 3,000 strikeouts.
Yeah. Another guy who deserves more credit, yeah.
So that is the 1948 Bowman set. So got it done in an hour in there. So next time we'll do one of the 792 cards top sets to see if we can get that done. Okay.
That'll be a marathon.
Yeah, I'm joking about that one, but that one I'll just kind of keep doing the binder presentation. I got those, but yeah, it's the oldest set I put together so far. I am working on one set that's older than this by 14 years, 15 or 14, 13, 12 years, because it's ranged over 3 years, the entire set. So probably we'll do something live for that one too when that one's done, but we're talking like another 2 years before I probably have everybody in that set. But
Would have been cool if they
Were.
put like some of the greats in there too, you know, like Mathewson and
Mhm.
like some of the other sets did.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Especially that
With-
period where you missed those 3 years of baseball. Actually ended up didn't produce cards for about 5 years, so it'd be interesting to put somebody in there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you working on the Diamond Star set?
Yep, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. So my great set.
Yeah, I'm half done, so that's cool.
I
Yeah.
just picked up the Greenberg at the East Coast National at a 5.5. I love that card so much.
Oh wow, that's amazing grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that one, I'll probably be more in the twos.
No, I'm gonna tell you,
for that one.
I would usually never like jump like that, but I was like in this moment of, oh my God, I'm never gonna see this again. So I just like I bought it. It was impulsive, but it was cool.
I love that type of impulsiveness.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, everybody in the chat tonight, thanks for participating and sticking around and watching. It was nice having kind of a live audience this evening. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I will sign us out, and we'll be back at some point again in the future. So
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Later, guys.